Welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast, where insight meets innovation. Whether you're sketching your first idea or refining a finished product, you're in the right place. Our mission is to equip you with the tools, expertise, and clarity you need to succeed as an inventor, while helping you conquer fears and limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, founder and CEO of Inventor's Edge. Before becoming a seasoned product development coach, I was a wide-eyed inventor with a head full of ideas but no clear path forward. I know firsthand what it's like to feel stuck, uncertain, and overwhelmed. Fast forward to today, I'm a successful entrepreneur with multiple licensing deals and products on the market. I'm committed to helping inventors like you overcome obstacles, conquer fears, and transform your ideas into tangible success through proven, actionable, step-by-step strategies that deliver real results. Join us as we bring in industry pros, share expert advice, and dive deep into the world of innovation. Ready to turn your ideas into reality? Let's get started. Today, we are so lucky to have a guest who has worn more hats than most of us can possibly imagine and worn them really well. Steven Puri is the founder and CEO of the Suka Company with the mission to help people find their focus, achieve more, and still have a healthy work life. Now, Steven's journey is really anything but ordinary. He started as a newscaster on the #1 youth news show in the DC Baltimore market, then became a software engineer at IBM, and went on to produce mind-blowing CGI effects for blockbuster films like Independence Day, which just happened to win an Academy Award for visual effects. From there, he ran film franchises at the 20th Century Fox like Die Hard and Wolverine, later worked on Star Trek and Transformers at DreamWorks. Some pretty amazing stuff. But here's the twist. After all of that Hollywood and tech success, Steven decided to focus on something closer to the heart, helping people find flow, manage their time, and do meaningful work through the Suka Company. By the way, Suka means happiness from self-fulfillment in Sanskrit, which perfectly captures what he's all about. Today, we're diving into things that help the average inventor or entrepreneur more than just about anything else. I'm talking about focus, flow, time management, and what it really means to build a side hustle into something real and meaningful. Steven lives in Austin, Texas now, and we're thrilled to have him on with us, so let's dive right in. Hey, Steven, welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast.
Boy, I hear we have all these entrepreneurs and inventors here. We're going to drop some knowledge, maybe have some fun. I'm excited. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely, yes. So you're speaking to an audience of inventors, entrepreneurs, innovators, solopreneurs, people that are incredibly creative, very driven, want to do some amazing things, and always looking for new information and helpful hints and advice. And so super excited to have you on the show. I know you have a lot to share and a very deep background. Maybe we could just start with where are you from and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So probably the most relevant things for those playing along at home or in their car is I was an engineer when I was very young. And when I was at USC, got involved with film sort of through the back door of doing digital film, computer-generated film. And I produced the digital effects for Independence Day, for which we won the Academy Award for visual effects, which was great. Rising tide lifts all boats. Lots of people worked on that. It was a great experience. Started my first company with the director and producer of Independence Day, Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. And we sold that 4 years later at a 6x multiple, which was super fun. I was in my 20s when you think you're better looking than you are, smarter than you are. You know, you realize you're actually just really lucky. Right. And then took a year or two off, traveled, thought about what I wanted to do next, decided I wanted to become a studio executive. So worked hard on that in my 30s. And eventually, you know, through some hard work and a lot of luck, was an executive vice president at DreamWorks Pictures for Kurtzman Orsi, vice president of production at 20th Century Fox. So I was involved in the Die Hard franchise, Wolverine franchise. When I was at DreamWorks, that's when Alex and Bob were doing Transformers, Star Trek 11, Eagle Eye, Fringe, Hawaii Five-0, bunch of stuff like that. Uh, I had a moment on Die Hard 5. I was the executive on Die Hard 5 at Fox where I was like, this is going to be a terrible movie. And I'm working on all sequels. Most of my friends at the other studios are all working on sequels. And I was like, I want to go do something meaningful again, something cool. So I got back into engineering, came full circle, and have done 2 startups since I left, raised about $3 million for each. And both of those failed, which were painful. But in doing that, saw a lot of parallels about how high performers had worked, both in film and in tech. And a lot of what I do now is share those lessons around how to get into a flow state, certain mental tips and tips and tricks to get the best work out of yourself in a healthy way. And that's what I'm super passionate about.
That's amazing. And who doesn't need that, right?
Oh my God. In this world, yeah, there's some smart people distracting us.
There's so many distractions, and you see it all the time with people on their phones, but it's smartwatches and it's media, it's computers, and things are perpetually coming at us. And some people maybe can filter that stuff out easier than others. I'd be shocked if everybody didn't have
kidding,
ADD.
Scott? Whom are we kidding?
Maybe not.
I was excited about coming on your pod because I have a strong thesis that we all have something great inside us. And the question of this lifetime is, are you going to get it out or not? And the trillion-dollar companies in our world, their business model is straight up steal your life. Period. Full stop. They're engaged in making sure that that great thing never gets out of you because they need your life. And that deal, I mean, is very plain. It's like Mark calling you up going, hey, Scott, can I have your life? Because I'm going to sell it to these advertisers and I'm going to keep the money, but I'm going to give you some dancing cat videos, bud. Is that a good deal? Can I have your life for some dancing cat videos? By the way, maybe there's a Logan Paul going to a suicide forest or there's Kim Kardashian getting on a private jet. Can I give you those videos in exchange for your life, man? And it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like, dude, I'd never sell my life for some dancing cat videos. But when Mark has the money and Elon, they have the money to hire the best behavioral psychologists, the best UI UX designers, the best engineers to make sure that that's all you can think about. See, you're in a tug of war, man. On the other side of that rope, there are trillion-dollar companies with the smartest people. And the other side, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is easy to understand why people get as distracted as they do now. And it is very hard. You have to want it. You have to want it and find tools that support you. It's a lot of why I do what I do with my life is to give people the opportunity to go, hey, man, actually, you know what? I want to do something. I have something I want to create.
Yeah.
So I want to see more people do that.
It's me as well. And that's really my mission, is to help people honor that, nurture that, and help them bring that out so they don't become, these walking, I don't want to use the word zombies, but you sort of go on autopilot when you're plugged into the machine like that. You've kind of given like you said, you've given your life away.
We were talking, I have my first child coming in like 2 months, 9 weeks. I pray that my kids' generation looks at our generation with social media the way I look at my father's generation with smoking. Where now it's like, it seems unthinkable. It's like, Dad, like half your friends died of lung cancer and you've got emphysema. And like, how could you do that to yourself? You paid money to get lung cancer. And, my dad's generation is like, well, man, like all the movie stars were doing it. It was cool. The Marlboro Man had like a 60-foot billboard on Sunset Boulevard. The tobacco companies funded research that smoking was healthy for you. We didn't know. And now it's like, I can't point to a single person I know that smokes cigarettes. So I sure hope my kids have that generational wake up where they're like, okay, you guys invented this. You didn't know what it was. You didn't understand like what radiation was. So, Marie Curie wears radioactive rock around her neck because she just doesn't get that it's going to kill her of cancer, I sure hope that happens. But for this generation, we're sitting here right now, not 10 years from now, this generation, Yeah, if you want to do something, you got to find the tools, you got to find the discipline to do it. Bring something new into the world, which, as you often help people, maybe it's a new company, maybe it's a new solution to a problem. It might be a piece of art. It might be being a great athlete. It might be deciding you want to go to the moon, whatever it is, but it's just do it. Don't be the grumpy old guy on the sofa or girl on the sofa who's like, oh yeah, I could have been somebody. Oh yeah, I could have written that book. I could have created that company. I had that idea. No one wants to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a powerful reminder for people that they do have gifts, they have creativity. They came to this earth during this time for a reason. And for me, I'm always humbled by the creativity that inventors have with product ideas, and they just keep coming. And it almost haunts some people. Like, I'm just perpetually improving the world. Everywhere I go, I see products and they're like, oh, I could make that better. I can make that better. But great. What are we doing with it? Are you doing anything with it? And that's where I love helping people kind of draw out that creativity and really convincing them that you can do something with this. You just need a little guidance. You need a little help and some focus. Focus is such a huge part of this. And I know that's one of the big things you can help people with is.
You're speaking to my heart, Scott.
Some of the most famous people throughout history have been interviewed, and most of them attribute focus to their success.
This is so true. Okay, you know what? That is such a beautiful entree to talking about flow states. Do you want to dive in? Let's start to give helpful stuff.
I was going to ask, what have you learned about cultivating flow and staying truly focused in a world chock full of distractions?
Let's do it. So for those playing along at home or, in their cars, this is where we start talking about stuff that is prescriptive and actionable. And I want to set the table. There are some people out there, when I say flow states, that nod and go, oh yeah, dude, I'm a master. I get it. And I think a lot of people who are like, I kind of have heard it, but I'm not 100% certain what it is or how I do it or if I want to do it. So let me just explain quickly what it is so we're all on this equal footing, okay? There was a Hungarian-American psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who had a very strong thesis that high performers in these different disciplines, athletes, inventors, artists, they described these concentrated states they would get into where they would do the work that made them famous in very similar ways. So he's like, I want to find out more about what is it they do and how do they do it? What makes Michael Jordan, Picasso, and that sort of thing, right? His goal was to kind of, go up to Mount Olympus, get the fire, bring it down, and give it the rest of us, going, hey man, I figured out how to do this. If you want to do something, try this. When he was done with his research, he wrote the book Flow, which is the seminal work on this, which is why we call it a flow state. That's the book. And he said, I chose this word because I think it's a beautiful metaphor for the fact that we're all on the water paddling to move ourselves forward. But when you align yourself with the current, it magnifies your effort. You just go further, faster. And it is so interesting the way, he writes about different people in different cultures call it different things, including, there's that famous Michael Jordan quote about when I'm in the zone, it's just me and the ball. He's like, call it what you want, but look at how the commonality of how these high performers get into that state. And if you could harness that for yourself, you could finish earlier in the day, you could do better work, and you could feel better about it. And that is ultimately my goal, is to take some of the lessons that he gave and put it into a simple format where you can just like hit play and kind of get like a lot of the things that he said would help you get into flow. So should we start breaking down stuff now that we've set the table?
Absolutely. I'm such a huge fan of this topic. I'm a
know.
believer. I know some people might think flow, whatever, that sounds a little woo-woo, but I know there's science behind it. So let's break it down.
Being in the zone, people call it many things. When you get distracted or you procrastinate, tell me about it. What is it that distracts you, or how do you procrastinate?
I think for me, if there's something that's going to be challenging that I know is going to suck, and it's going to be uncomfortable, it's easy to just, I know that should be what I tackle first thing in the morning, wake up and just eat
the frog.
Yeah, but I kind of slide it off to the side because I want to
process. You talked about that on the episode Ben Aldrich, didn't you? About kind of that eat the frog mentality.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Keep going.
I believe that because that's a big accomplishment you can get. And most of the time when you do that, it's like, well, that wasn't such a big deal. I thought it was a 40-pound frog and it was tiny.
Right?
What was I so freaked out about?
But you do it. It's a thing where you just described. I hear that we have like a 34,000 person community. I hear that all the time of just like, man, I procrastinate because I'm afraid of that frog.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, that's one of the things. The other thing is, iPhone banging and just the distractions that are real. It's hard for me to just completely tune that out.
What inside it? Because it's not the phone, it's what's inside it. What's inside it that has that siren call to you? What is it?
Yeah. I think is that opportunity? Is that something important? It's hard to
Like,
prioritize things.
Are there particular apps? Is it like WhatsApp? Is it emails? Is it TikTok, Instagram? What is it?
For me, a lot of it's LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So it's like, ooh, was that somebody I was waiting to hear from? Or, ooh, was that somebody I wanted to get in touch with? And it just sort of becomes like Pavlov's dogs. It's like, am I salivating? What just happened there?
It's beautifully designed. I mean, whether or not the force can be used for good or evil,
Yeah.
is LinkedIn. Most of the social media apps are so refined now, so optimized. They are beautifully done. It's true. So yes, like Pavlov, you're like, I must pick this up. I'll give you a little something on my end. I have a very similar thing that if I'm coding or if I'm trying to write a blog post or something, and I hit that moment where I'm like, why is the build failing? Or why don't I have a clever idea for this next blog post? My hand almost muscle memory reaches for my phone. Like, well, just scroll for a minute, just check the news, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
get that dopamine hit.
It's dopamine hit. It's just like, hey man, free dopamine right here, right here. You know what we did? You're gonna laugh. In the Suka, the website, when you start your session, you hit play and you get the music and the timers and all, right? A little QR code comes up at the top of your session. I can tap it with my phone, right? If I pick up my phone, if I have one of those little moments where I'm like, this thing won't build, pick it up. My smart assistant talks to me through my laptop and it'll say, Steven, do you need to be on your phone right now? And it doesn't stop me. It doesn't bar me from using my phone, but it gives me that 1 second to say, who do I want to be?
Interesting.
Puts a little space.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
It's just it's just like having a coach. It's like, hey man, like, do you want to go to the finals or not? Because if you want to be the guy who talks about, oh yeah, we could have been a contending team. Okay, well, pick up your phone. And just that little moment of like, what's your intention? That's enough for me. It's a little thing you can do. And we do the same thing with websites. Do you ever on your laptop when you're working, like open YouTube and watch a video or something, or, go to Twitter, X or whatever? Do you open up anything on your laptop?
For sure.
What distracts you on your laptop?
Man,
I'm asking you all the questions here. I'm like, let's get inside Scott's mind.
This is good.
Scott, what color are your socks?
If I have a text, it'll pop up on the laptop or
right?
Or an email. It's visual and you get that little ding. So it's both of those things. And I know you can shut them off. And that's probably step one.
But then you're not going to know if LinkedIn's trying to, let you know something.
Right? Yeah. Then you start wondering. And then it's like, I'll just take a quick peek because I haven't heard
How many
anything
likes did I get? Did I get enough likes?
Right. Yeah.
Did anybody repost that
podcast?
I know. So we did the exact same thing with, we offer a free Chrome extension. You can install it. You can specify what websites get you. Some people it's like ESPN, NFL. Some people it's like Etsy and Amazon. Some people it's, like news sites, whatever. And you open the news site, you just get a pop-up. Really simple. Hey man, it seems like Facebook's a distraction. Is it? And you get that 1 second to go, who do I want to be? And you can stay on the website if you want, or you can close it. But you get that little moment of like, okay, I just want to call your attention to like, who are you going to be in this lifetime? Do you want to be that 80-year-old grumpy guy or girl? It's like, could have been somebody. Don't do that, man.
Yeah, so cool. So great to put some space between stimulus and then your response.
It's true. There's also some good apps that give you a pause. Like I know there's one on your phone that if you try to open Instagram or an app you specify, it will do it for you, but it forces you to wait like a second or 5 seconds or something like that, long enough for you just to say like, okay, is this what I want? And it's interesting when you think about, okay, People listening here, I strongly believe people on the Adventure's Edge, they're here because they're like, hey, Scott, man, I have something I want to do. I want to go create this thing that I think could change the world, change my family's life, change my life, whatever. And give me some tools, give me some mental tools, give me some real tools, give me advice on how to structure things, right? So one of these things, and this is why I know I'm here today, is talk about, okay, here's some mental tips, some tricks you can do. Before we move on to the next thing, let me just mention a couple of the aspects of flow, right? When Mihai wrote his book, he said, let me tell you what I found. Like, number one, all these guys and girls that do this, they only do it on tasks, on things that they believe are meaningful. So it's not, you're not going to get into a flow state and be like super productive and super focused and the world falls away today if you're stapling papers or you're like paying your bills or something, you know what I mean? Like something like that. He's like, you have to have skills that apply. You have to be challenged. You know, it's not Picasso painting. I mean, it's not Picasso like playing basketball. It's not Michael Jordan painting. You know, it's like you have to be doing something where you're doing it and you're doing it at a high level. Like you're playing in the NBA as, you know, Michael or Kobe or, you know, LeBron or whomever. And he said, you also have to get meaningful feedback. You know, you have to know how you're doing. It's one of the things, again, to talk about Suka, is you have a live productivity graph. We just thought was super fun. So you can see like every 5-minute chunk, how did you do as you get more and more points for focusing, losing points for opening up your phone, losing points for opening up Facebook, whatever. And I'm telling you, you scroll back through your previous sessions over the past few weeks, you start to see your patterns. It's when I learned right between 30 and 40 minutes is usually when I hit my little boredom point and I do something off. I'm like, let me just quickly check CNN. Let me go open my thing and check my WhatsApps. And I was only because I looked at my curves and it's like, why do I keep having this dip about 35 minutes in my sessions? That's why.
Interesting.
So now I'm more aware of that. And I go, you know what? Maybe at 35 minutes, I should set a 5-minute break, go get a glass of water. If I want to check my phone, check it. And when I get back in it, I'm in it, you know? So there are a lot of things about flow states that are super helpful. And some people have experienced this and don't even know the name. You know, have you had a flow state, Scott? Have you ever been in the zone?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How does it feel like?
Flow all the time. Time stops. You're absolutely 100% present in the moment.
Yeah.
And enjoying what you're doing.
It's a good feeling, right?
It's a great feeling. For me, I love helping other people get to that place. And a lot of that is talking through whatever challenges they might have had and it's also part of it is when they're coaching with me, they're doing something that is what they wanted to do. Maybe they've been putting it off for a long time or just for whatever reason, they haven't really taken that step to get a little bit of help, get some coaching, like the reminders with the apps, like, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Or, you know, for me, it's, have you thought about this? Or what are we doing there? But it's really, a lot of it is me being in the flow with them. They're in the flow and they're enjoying the process as well. And it's like magic.
Do you remember the first time you experienced that? We looked up and you're like, whoa, like my work's done. I feel good. I lost track of time. Like, when was the first time you're like, you tracked that?
I think throughout my life, there's been a lot of moments like that, but
Lucky
without
guy.
me knowing what it was, you know, whether that was sports or learning to fly an airplane or whatever these big goals that I had were. In the work context, I think it was, man, I'm trying to think of a good example. Really bringing SWAT and Scoop to life. There were several moments like that. You know, having the first production samples shipped to my house and opening the door and seeing the box. And then I videotaped that whole process, you know, opening the package and taking it out. And it was like the first time for me that, wow, this started in my mind and I'm now holding it in my hand.
It's made manifest in front of you.
Yeah.
That is an amazing moment. I will tell you, I also did not know what a flow state was when I first experienced it. I was going from Austin to San Francisco and I wanted to illustrate this idea I had for a feature that I was going to talk about with my team. Got on the flight, Alaska nonstop. Wi-Fi was out, took off. We landed like 15 minutes later. And I was like, an engine fell off. Something bad happened. We landed in Dallas and they're not going to tell us until we're on the ground. You know, like, what happened? We were in SFO. 2 hours and 40 minutes had gone by since I'd looked at my clock. I had no idea, but my designs were done and I felt great. I didn't have to race to my, hotel room and grab a sandwich in the lobby and try and finish the stuff in the morning meeting. I called a buddy of mine. I was like, hey man, you want to have dinner? I have a free night. That was remarkable. And it took me a while to figure out what it was. Happily I've worked with some smart people and, that sense of like, oh, this is repeatable. Why aren't more people talking about this and sharing this? So thank you for inviting me on that we can talk about these things. I have a question for you. Do you want to talk about some things that are not flow state, other like little fun mental tips and tricks we can use as entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was going to ask you, what daily habits you believe, make the biggest difference in sustaining creativity, but also productivity over the long haul. So any tips and tricks? We all want to get more done in less time and all of that, which that's probably a whole separate conversation, but really some of the big things that make the biggest difference in people's lives. How can people move
I will tell
toward
you,
that?
they're some of the simplest things. You don't need anybody's app. You don't need anything to do them. But when you hear them, you're like, well, yeah, of course. And yeah, I can't tell you how many people don't do them, or how many people, like in my community, for example, have come to me and said like, oh my God, how did I miss this? Like half my career, I was doing this. This has like changed my day, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are about intention. Okay. Number one, if you think you're going to do more than 3 things, you're fooling yourself. So figure out the right 3 things. In other words, prioritize. Go, you know what? These are the 3 things that move my life forward, or my career forward, or my team's, life forward. Start the day with that. Don't dive into doing stuff until you go, here are the 3 things. And if you have more than 3, pare it back, man, because you're just going to get frustrated. You're not going to do 7 things. You're just going to end up, like that sort of thing, right? So that's number 1. And by the way, I want to acknowledge anything that I say that is helpful or intelligent is because we have stood on the shoulders of people who've spent their lives studying productivity, the neuroscience behind it. So when you talk about Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, Nir Eyal, James Clear, Cal Newport, like so many people have written great, great stuff. So I don't claim to be intelligent at all. I just am passionate about trying to share these things in a very relatable way, So
Perfect.
Acknowledge to those to whom we're grateful. Sure. Another one, going back to tips, right? You actually can't think for hours at a time well. You have to acknowledge to yourself that your brain is like a muscle. I'm not saying it is a muscle, but it is like a muscle, and that it reaches exhaustion. It needs certain kinds of fuel. There's actually a really good Huberman episode about brain glucose levels and measuring them. And after like 90 minutes of intense thought, it's kind of like your brain begins to run out of fuel. And at 120 minutes, like you're not having the quality of thoughts you had in the first 30 or 60 minutes. It is worthwhile to stop, take a break, eat something, go for a walk, do something to rejuvenate rather than grind it out, because there's a hustle culture of grinding it out, right? If you've ever, like if you're a coder, if you're an engineer, if you've written code late at night when you ground it out, how many times have you come to that the next day and been like, oh man, I totally overlooked this thing, or I have to rewrite this part, or this needs to be refactored or something, because you're like, I was so passionate about just moving it forward and I wasn't doing my best work on the 4th hour of Red Bulls or microdosing LSD or psilocybin, or whatever you're doing, whatever's trendy at this moment, right? I say that to say, hey, take healthy breaks. Like the whole idea of a Pomodoro timer, named, Cirillo had that kitchen timer shaped like a tomato. And he's just like, what if you did 25 and 5 and just like took breaks, and then maybe every 2 hours or take a longer break sort of thing, right? Great idea. Totally endorse it. If someone's going to use that at home, don't feel restricted by 25 and 5. That might not be your cycle. Like I do 55 and 10 just because it seems to work better for me. I want a slightly longer break. And if I stop in 25 minutes, I feel like I'm always in the middle of a thought, right? But at 55, I feel like, oh, I got that out. Let me go recharge. And it leads to, my goal is that people have 3 o'clock so that they're happy. They're like, oh man, I did the thing. And that's just a great way to say my brain is like a muscle. You wouldn't try and do pull-ups for 6 hours straight, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to you. That was a long spiel. There's more, but let's go back to you.
That's so great. I think about, we live in a world right now that is so inundated with stressful things and stressful messages and the
Right?
news and the wars and all this stuff. And I just think about how many people are walking around perpetually in that fight or flight state where the cortisol is pumping, the brain shifted down into the limbic, and they're really kind of in survival mode, which is spinning their brain, which doesn't leave a lot of room for creativity and prioritizing things and mindfulness.
Ooh, okay. Let's talk about creativity for a moment. This is a great segue. Great entree to that. Okay. So this is something that I saw firsthand, and I was taught this at 20 when I was like a senior at SC and just starting to work in Hollywood. One of my first jobs was at an ad agency that did trailers for movies, and commercials and stuff like that, right? For movies. And our biggest clients were Warner Brothers and Buena Vista, which is essentially Disney. And there were two guys who owned the company who were very well respected, had been doing this like 20 years, very well known. So we got a lot of business. My job was movies would come in, like rough cuts would come in, and I would assign them to writer producers to write the trailers. So be like, oh, hey, Scott, you did that great job of that Will Ferrell comedy last year for Sony. We got another Will Ferrell comedy. Can you, take a look at this rough cut and you start to write it, right? Okay. So Jeff, who's one of the two principals, comes to my office one day and he goes, by the way, he called me Stevie. Only person in my life who's ever called me Stevie. I can hear his voice in my head. He's still a friend. It's so funny. So he's like, Stevie. I was like, yeah. He's like, Bart. I was like, Bart, the guy who works on the ball. Yeah, I met him. He seems nice. He goes, you ever get Bart a movie to write a trailer? I was like, you know what, Bart who like gets coffee and drives the tapes around. I haven't, Jeff, but where are you going with this one? He's like, I got an instinct about him, Stevie. You should give him something. Jeff, you're the boss. Done, right? So I found some like Warner Brothers B title that had like a month deadline. So if he didn't want to do it, if he, didn't come through, we could give it to a pro. 2 days later, Jeff comes to my office. Stevie, how's Bart doing? I was like, I gave him, this thing. He's like, how's he doing? I was like, I haven't checked with him. I'll check with him Monday. He's never written a trailer before. Let's give it a couple more days. He's like, okay, fine. What else do you give him? It's like, Jeff, he's never written a trailer before. I'm not going to give him 2 trailers at the same time. And he goes, Stevie, let me teach you how creativity works. It's always about the other thing. If you give him one movie to focus on, he's going to stare at that with little beads of sweat coming down his temples. And he's going to write the most obvious B version of that trailer that you can imagine. You got to give him something else to think about, because the part of his brain that does the chocolate and peanut butter, I wonder what they're like together, that's not the part you think you're thinking of.
Right.
Can I tell you, in the intervening 20 years, how many times I have seen Jeff proven right in tech and in film? Like, there's a great book called The Net and the Butterfly about the neuroscience of this by Olivia Fox-Gabon and Judah Pollack. And it talks about the executive mode and default mode networks and kind of what the interplay is with the default mode is almost like the baby. This is a little reductive, but almost like the baby, and the executive mode is like the adult. When you're little, you have that brain that's just like, it does random, wonder what a cell phone tastes like, right? Well, the adult would never even ask that or think that. But the adult makes sure that you execute action. You get your work done, you do your slide deck for the meeting, you get your homework done, But I don't know, and Scott, I'm going to turn this over to you. And if you've ever noticed the ideas that you have when you are doing something to distract you, whether you're driving, showering, doing the dishes, walking, and then you have the idea for the other thing. You ever experienced that?
All the time. And usually it's at a place where I don't have a pen and paper or
Right?
my phone or something to capture it. It's like, why do these ideas always come to me when I can't capture them?
Read the book. It's about exactly that. It's because you are not thinking about that thing. And your brain goes, oh, thank God, he's focused somewhere else. And your default mode network is like, let me tell you, here's the cool creative idea for you. And there are ways to cultivate that. Once you recognize that and you name it, then you start to say, oh, you know what? I want to come up with a great idea for my blog post. Maybe the solution is not staring here at my Google Doc or my CMS at a blank screen and going, Steven, write something great. Maybe that actually doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought up creativity. And speaking of sitting at your desk, can we talk a bit about the mental relationship with place? Can we get into that a bit? Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you
We're in
another
the
fun.
flow here. This is our uncharted water, so we can go
Here we go.
wherever.
Okay, let's go chart some uncharted areas. So this is a funny thing that I saw that I didn't understand the first time I saw it in my career, but later I was like, oh, it's that thing. This is that thing, and it is a mental trick. Again, anyone listening, take this for yourself, man. You can do this, or lady, you can do this for free. You don't need anybody's app. I first noticed it mentioned back when we were doing Independence Day. Roland and Dean, who would co-write their movies, they would write down at this vacation rental in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Apparently, I've never been there. Apparently, this beautiful white marble villa in the hills or whatever, right? So when Roland went to his assistant, it was like, Joey, rent the place. We have to go write. Joey came back that day. Was like, it's rented. Like, it's a vacation rental. They rent it out to people, and it happens to be rented right now. And Roland was like, no, we must have that place. He called John Deemer, his entertainment attorney. It was like, John, buy the villa. By Monday, Roland owned a $5 million villa in Puerto Vallarta.
Sure,
I
as
don't
you do.
exactly. I don't know where the renters went. They were paid nicely to get the hell out, right? And
Wow.
he and Dean went down there. 6 weeks later, they came back with the script that became the third highest grossing movie in film history. And I asked Dean about, like, why is this so important to you guys? He said, there's a room there where, like, the light comes in over the pool in the morning. He's like, we don't think about our agents. We don't think about casting or production problems or studio notes or any of that stuff. He's like, we're in the zone there. We just like write to make something great. And, you can find flaws with their movies. They're not like, Shakespeare, but they've written some hit movies because they do get into a certain zone there. So I tell you this, not that you have to have $5 million to go buy a villa in Puerto Vallarta, because the funny thing is, much later in my career, when I was working with Alex Kurtzman, Bob Orsi at DreamWorks, I mean, these are guys who are making $1-2 million a script each, right? So Transformers 1 and 2, Star Trek 11, Eagle Eye, Fringe, Hawaii 5-0, Mission Impossible 3, The Island, Zorro, like, oh my God, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they got in crunch time, oh shit, we have to give Steven not me, Steven, big Steven, right? We have to give Steven the Transformers 2 draft in 2 weeks. They had their assistant rent a room across the street. We were at the little Amblin lot at Universal Studios. So across like Lancashire is the Universal Hilton. Not a glamorous property. You know what I mean? Like, you go there to stay with your kids the night before you go on the rides at Universal, and then you leave. And they would go rent there. And I wondered about that until it hit me. They had met in school. Like, their association of their career taking off was dorm room. And I think there was something about like Alex sitting on the edge of the bed with his laptop and Bob at the desk with his laptop brought back that we're scrappy students. We have to prove to the world they're going to be great writers someday. And that's what they did when they're like, we have 10 days to finish this draft, right? And that was this mental trick. So everyone can use this. And I did this poorly. When I started running remote teams, like I've had 2 remote companies now, right? I did the thing of like, well, I'm at home. I can, work in the kitchen in the morning. The light is beautiful. I'll come upstairs, work in the afternoon. I'll go work on the sofa with my wife in, the late afternoon or evening. And I realized it was chaotic for my mind. And I made a decision to simply say, when I come upstairs in my office, this is where I'm going to write my blog post. This is where I'm going to revise the website. I'm going to write code, whatever. And it's interesting how when I enter my office now, a lot of like BS kind of falls away. I don't think about a lot of those things. It's almost like there's a force field at the door where it goes, oh, my brain goes, I get it. Well, yeah, we're in that room. Let's do that. And you can train your mind to do that. And it's just a simple mental hack. Anyway, back to you, Scott.
That's so fantastic. And a lot of us who do work from home, there can be real challenges with that. I go upstairs and it's like, oh, there's dishes in the sink.
Right?
I can probably do those real quick, or I'm hungry. I find the food thing is distracting too, because sometimes I'm not even hungry. It's just I need a distraction. I need to go do something else. So it's like the fridge is always there.
I feel your pain. I am right there with you. Yeah.
that can be its own little swirling eddy of distractions that sweep people away from productivity. You need the breaks, you need to give your mind the rest, but I think those distractions can also become mental habits. That all of a
Yes.
sudden it's like your brain's reminding you, like, hey, it's time to be distracted again. Let's go.
Is very true. What do you do currently to keep yourself from distraction? As Near would say, like traction instead of distraction.
For me, I try to plan my day in chunks. I use the calendar as much as I can.
Great.
Like, okay, these are the priorities. These are the things that need to get done. I'm going to do these things early. And it's a lot of that, you don't get that fun dopamine hit, but what feels good is getting things done and feeling that sense of accomplishment. Time management, I think either you learn it or you have it pounded in. I don't know if that's just a natural thing people are born with. Maybe there are people out there that are just born with that, and it's like, oh, time to put in my binky, and oh, I need the bottle now. And it's like, but for most people, it's either got to be learned through a job or deliberate planning and learning. What are your thoughts about that? And just time management in general, efficiency, output, that kind of stuff.
I am with you. I live in my calendar, probably to the extent that it annoys my wife, but I'm like rigorous about like, if I'm going to do these things, let's block them in the calendar. This is what time of day I should do stuff. We should talk about chronotype in a moment. And even if it's stuff that she and I are going to do together, it's really helpful for me to have that laid out in the calendar, just to say, okay, this is how I'm using my time, because there is no one on earth, no matter how rich, can buy more time. So if I'm wasting time, like, what am I doing? It is the ultimate scarce resource, and it is life. So big fan of that. Chronotype, I mentioned a moment ago. And I know there's some people who are nodding their head like, yes, I totally know what chronotype is, and others might not. So let me just expound on that, which is chronotype is the understanding that there are times of day when you're better at certain kinds of things. So you can bumble through life and kind of like do everything as it comes up, and everything's kind of an emergency or just a random list or whatever. Or you can say, you know what? I actually should do this at this time. And I'll give you another fun story, which is there's a great screenwriter, Ron Bass, who wrote My Best Friend's Wedding, Rain Man, like all these kind of things. Tom Cruise, Julia Roberts movies, right? He famously would not talk to his family in the morning. Wouldn't say hi, wouldn't say good morning, right? And his explanation to them is he said, when I start talking with you, even if it's as innocuous as like, hey, do you want pancakes, or, good luck at school, or, do you need a lift? Once I do that, I can't hear my characters' voices in my head. He said, so that time is sacred to me. From when I wake up, it could be 3, 4, 5 in the morning until, 9. I have to go straight to my office, and I have to write, because that's when I write the dialogue, the character stuff. But yeah, it does get A-list actors to say, I want to be in that movie, and that's why people pay him, is you get top drawer actors who read his stuff and go, that character, I want that. And, he talked about in the afternoon, he can do collaborative, story stuff like, hey, Scott, we need to work on the second act. I don't know. What should the dragon do? Whatever. You can do that. But he was very aware of his chronotype. And obviously, this is a guy operating in the top, echelon of screenwriters. You can do that too. And by the way, a really easy way to figure that out. You don't, I'm sure there are apps that help you with that, but I'll just tell you straight up. Take a piece of paper, and for a week or two, just divide it up into chunks, not hour by hour, minute by minute, but just say like, hey, today, 8 to 10-ish, I worked on writing a blog. How did I feel? Good. I worked from, 3 to 5 p.m. on how did I feel? Didn't work so well, didn't it? You look at that after a week, and you will see your patterns. You will start to say, you know what? I should write all my blog posts like in the morning before breakfast. It's just, there's something there. The 2 times I tried in the afternoon, I was blocked. Like I didn't have the thing. The muses did not sing. But man, 3 o'clock in terms of like administrative stuff, I should be paying all my bills, checking all my subscriptions, whatever. Perfect. And it's free. You can do it for free. It's just know thyself.
So huge. Such a great, really practical exercise that I don't know how many people have done that. I've done a bit of that. I've
Mhm.
discovered some of my creative time is late at night, where some
That's
people are like
great.
gone by 10 or 11. Like if it's midnight, a lot of times it's flowing,
You're
and
in
then
the
it makes it
zone.
hard to go to bed. The mornings are foggy for me. Some people are like, ooh, up at 5 a.m. and they have their routine and they're very creative and they can do things that are really meaningful that early. For me, a lot of that's later at night.
That is so interesting. I have evolved. I used to be a late night person, and now I'm absolutely like 5 a.m. at the gym to 6, get home, and I have a couple of clear hours where I just block my calendar. You can't book a Zoom with me. You can't meet with me. I won't answer your Slack. Like, but it's just learning, going, shit, man. Life would be easier
Yeah.
if I just focused on this kind of thing then. And then by the
Right.
afternoon, I want to be in cruise mode. For me, it's much better. Hey, it's 3 o'clock. Let me do a podcast or do a Zoom with Tony, my partner up in Vancouver or whatever. Totally perfect. I'm not going to
Yeah.
write any great code in 3 to 5. I'm not going to, in that window, you know, write a great blog post. Doesn't happen for me.
It's great that you know that. I think a lot of people are
Took a while.
stumbling
Yeah.
stumbling through that, wondering why isn't this working? And maybe it's just simply it's not your time of day. Your brain's not primed for that activity at that time.
It is true. Understanding like your brain, understanding your energy levels, like how you're affected by other people. I'll mention this, which might be interesting. Is so back when I was in film and a studio executive, right? You have to read a lot of scripts, a lot of books, a lot of scripts, a lot of treatments. People always pitching you stuff. You get drafts in. I'm not a screenwriter, but I lived close to this coffee bean that's kind of famous in West Hollywood. It's across the Sunset Boulevard from the Directors Guild. And that coffee bean was known as kind of like a writer's clubhouse. Any time of day, you'd find a bunch of people on their laptops, their little MacBooks writing away. And it was a full spectrum of people. You had in one corner, like, the old dude that, has written 3 studio movies this year and he's making $1 million a script, writing Marvel movies or whatever. And he still comes to this coffee bean because it's been his habit for 20 years, right? This is like how he sort of tricks himself into the mental zone, right? And you also have like 2 girls next to you that just got off the bus and they're, bumbling around writing their first TV pilot or something. But I'll tell you what's interesting is there was a energy in that room of people all trying to do something. And it was infectious. And I would go there to read, even though I never wrote anything other than notes, right? You'd go there with a stack of scripts or your Kindle, whatever, and just sit there and like, it is a part of being human. There's something around being around people who are trying to do something great.
Yeah.
And I love that. That is a big part of what I love about our community. And I'll tell you something where I almost made a mistake, or I was contemplating. A mistake is when we created our website, it was very much a single player game. It's like you went there, you could play, get music, get your task list, get all your things, but you never had a sense of anyone else out there. I never knew you, Scott, were in the next room over. You know what I mean? It was just like an anonymous hotel of people all working. And I had this thought going, I speak to so many people like a hub and spoke where I know them all, but they don't know any of each other. Is there anything about them knowing each other, right? Sounds kind of ridiculous, but I was like, maybe it'd be distracting, maybe it'd be cool, not sure. So I talked to a couple members, and this one woman said this to me. She said, Steven, I can go to the Nike store. I can go buy a pair of shoes. They will sell me a left shoe and a right shoe. I put them on my feet. I run. It works great. But there are 100 million people in the Nike Run Club for a reason. Because you run faster. You run further. You're more accountable. The days that you suck, and you're like, I don't know if I want to get up. You come by, Scott. You're like, come on, Steven, let's do this. And then I go run. I feel great. I'm like, dude, thanks for getting me off the sofa, right? And the days when you suck, and I'm like, come on, Scott, let's do this. I feel great because I'm there for you. I'm like, come on, let's just run a couple miles together. And then, we're there. And it's a really powerful thing. And we launched like a group chat in Suka where you can check in on people, post what you're working on, talk to other people. And it's interesting because it reminds me kind of that coffee shop where it wasn't a super social place. It's not like you spent the entire day just like chatting with people at the next table and getting people off their MacBooks. But every now and then, you sort of that little head nod like, hey, man, I saw you last weekend. How's your script going? Good, yeah. You saw your pilot? Yeah, that's good. Congratulations, man. Okay, well, I'll catch you later. And it's just like that little sense of like, we're all human. We're all connected. We're doing this together.
Yeah,
And
you're
I dig
back.
that.
I talk about that all the time. I'm so glad you brought that up because as inventors, we tend to be lone wolves anyway by nature because we're very capable and we don't mind hacking our way through the woods alone and gathering information and just
Right.
forward. When you bring inventors together in a group, we have our Inventors Edge membership group, which
I
is
love that.
phenomenal. We get together twice a month. We talk through things, we share resources. There's magic that happens.
What inspired you to say, what we need is not just me giving people information, but everyone coming together and knowing each other? What brought you to that?
I've seen it work in other types of group situations. So when I decided to create Inventors Edge, I knew that had to be part of it. We needed a membership. We needed to bring people together. And it's just for an hour. I teach something, a topic for 30 minutes, and then it's open Q&A, whatever you want to talk about. And a lot of times it's really people helping each other, supporting each other, sharing resources, asking
I love
questions.
that.
And it allows everybody, I always learn something too. So it isn't like I'm the Grand Master and I'm Oz.
You're not the Grand Master. You lied to me. That's why I came.
Sorry. Yeah, bait and switch. Gotcha. But it's more, and I tell this all the time, we're in this together, we're all learning together. And there really is something about, I think as humans, we're hardwired for connection anyway. So when you tap into that, magic just happens. It's amazing to witness and be a part of it.
And I think people sometimes hear what you just said and they think that it's like, oh, we should all be extroverts and talking to each other all the time. But I think there's a nuance to what you said, which is sometimes it's just knowing someone's there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is going to sound crazy, but I am by nature introverted. Like, I get a lot of energy from being here, thinking, working alone, like doing what I'm going to do. I enjoy talking to people like talking to you, but I'm good with that. And sometimes the connection that you were talking about, I think, is misconstrued as being like, well, we have to go to like meetups and like socialize and wear name tags or whatever. And sometimes it's just a sense of like, oh, I'm part of something. And that energizes you to be part of a fabric of people who all have similar interests to you. And it may be fantasy football, it may be trading crypto, it may be whatever, or it may be, hey man, we're all inventors and like, let's do this together. And if I happen to meet a great, attorney who helped me with my IP, I'm happy to turn you on to her. I want her to benefit. I want you to benefit because you're part of the fabric.
Yeah, that's so perfect. And you're spot on with that. I think some people think of a membership as, oh, I'm going to have to put myself out there and be yappy and I'm going to have to really be vulnerable and share all this stuff and be talking the whole time. And we've had people who have joined and they'll listen and they don't say a lot. And then for whatever reason, at some moment when it strikes them, they just blossom and share all kinds of things and ask the group questions. And we just had that happen recently with one of the members who had been really quiet for months until the last episode. And he shared a bit about his product and people were asking him questions. And it was just amazing to just see it open up. And then afterwards, he sent an email saying, thank you so much for just giving me that space to share. That was amazing.
Love that. This has been a wonderful chat. I hope this is beneficial for the people listening. They're like, yeah, man, I'm getting some stuff to use. What more would you like to talk about? What more could we do that's productive?
I was thinking about advice to inventors, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs that might be feeling really stuck right now, knowing they want to do something meaningful. They have ideas, they have creativity, but they're really struggling to just take that first step.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to start with some harsh truth and then follow it with some like warm fuzzy, okay?
Sure.
Harsh truth is your idea is worthless. The idea you have, everyone else has there. And the thing that's going to differentiate you is execution. You are not the first person to go, oh my God, what if there was a comb? No, lots of people were thinking, let's make a comb. What's going to differentiate you is the execution of that. How do you design it? How do you market it? How do you manufacture it? How well can you run a business, right? So do not get intimidated by someone else launched the comb company. No, man. It's like they gave you a business school case study. If someone's your competition, go study them. See what you think they're doing well and what they're doing poorly. Look for the advantages you have over them, right? So, number one, your idea is worthless. It's execution, right?
Yeah.
And I would say coupled with that is the thought that we began today by talking about like know what you're going to do. Like find your 1, 2, or 3 things you're going to do today and don't fool yourself with saying you're going to do 7, right? So let us conclude today by saying, hey, that journey out your front door does start with 1 step, as the proverb goes. Mm-hmm. If you identify what direction is that right step, find the right task to begin. Even if you take 1 step today, you're moving toward that goal. And that first step is the hardest. If you can get yourself to do that, you just keep walking.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed how many people give up. Tenacity really is important.
It is. Yeah. Some people get that first little bit of wind in their face and they're like, oh, forget it. This is too hard, or this isn't working.
And let them go. Let them go do something else because you have 1 fewer competitor. Great.
Yeah. That's definitely one way to look at that. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about Suka. You're helping millions of people find their focus, achieve
not millions
more.
yet. Avenge. Thank you, Scott. I like how you think.
Setting that intention for you.
Yes, exactly. Let us get to millions. I appreciate that. And let me close by saying 2 things. One is, in the course of your and my conversation, I know we made reference to a lot of people, a lot of ideas, a lot of things. Or AL, clear, set high, this thing, time block. If there's anything I said where someone is like, could you just elaborate on that, or can you help me learn more? My email address is very public. It is Steven@thesuka, TheSukha, which means happiness. We didn't really talk about what my name means, but it means essentially happiness, self-fulfillment. .co for company. So if you drop me an email and you're like, hey man, who's that Hungarian guy, or what's time boxing? I will send you a link to a blog post or a book or something so you can learn. It will not be the story of my life because I don't have time and you don't want to read it anyway, right? But I do get back to all my emails in 24 hours if I'm not sick or traveling. So that's offer number 1. I'm here to help. Treat me as a resource. I'm not going to buy your crypto. Don't ask me.
Come on, man.
I know. Second thing is, if someone
Steven with a V, I just wanted to clarify. STEVE.
Steven, STEVEN @THESUKHA.co. The second one is at thesuka at the website, THESUKHA.co, is the Flow State app, which is just a website you run in the background while you work. Load it up in the morning, hit the play button. It's free for 7 days. No credit card, no funny business. No, if you don't cancel, I'll bill you. I'm very proud that the people who actually do flow sessions, like they use it for a week, they sign up. We have a 96% month-over-month paid retention. Because once you have that experience of like, oh my God, it's like 3 p.m., I feel great and I'm done. You're like, why would I do something else? Why would I not do this, right?
Yeah.
So come try it, drop in the group chat, say hi, enjoy your free week and do something great with it. Man, I don't collect a salary. Tony and I build this for free because we just think like people should have it. People should do something cool for the world.
I agree. Absolutely. We're on the same page with that through and through. Any final thoughts for Inventor's Edge listeners?
I would hang a lantern on that thought of prioritize first thing in the morning, know what you're doing, take that first step. It just starts there. And your whole day is different when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something magical about that first moment when you first wake up, where your mind is in that state of all is well, creativity, flow, before all those thoughts come rushing in about all the stressful stuff. So take that moment. And I meant to mention that earlier too.
Yep.
One of the things I do is I spend that time, like 10 minutes, doing affirmations and visualizing first thing in the morning before I even really start moving around. So that is beautiful. I appreciate.
Thank you for having me. For those listening, thank you for sticking around. Hope this was helpful.
Absolutely. Really appreciate you being on. Would love to have you on again. And let's stay in touch and keep the conversation going.
Sounds great. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Steven. Thanks for tuning in to the Inventor's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a review, and please share it with fellow inventors. Your next breakthrough could be just around the corner. For more tools, tips, and resources, visit us at inventors-edge.com. Until next time, invent with purpose, innovate with passion, and bring your ideas to life.